when the morning comes and we see what we've become. In the cold light of day with a flame in the wind like a fire that we've begun. Every argument, every word we can't take back. Cause with all that has happened, I think we
If you're wanting people to hear that music, it's pretty low.
No, I think it's louder on my end.
Only for a minute, I want to change my mind. Cause this just don't feel right to me. I want to raise your spirits. I want to see you smile. But no, that means I'll have to leave. Do 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 when the morning comes and we see what we've become. In the cold light of day with a flame in the wind, not the fire that we've become. Every argument, every word we can't take back. Cause with all that has happened, I think we both know the way the story ends. Then only for a minute, I want to change my mind. Cause this just don't feel right to me. I want to raise your spirit. I want to see you smile. But no, that means I'll have to leave.
You weren't hearing my piano there, were you? I just muted just to make sure.
Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. Lately, I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Slow down.
She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Slow down.
She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses. She'll be driving 6 white horses when she comes.
Slow down.
And we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Howdy.
Yeah, we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Howdy.
Yeah, we'll all go out to meet her, and we'll all go out to meet her, and we'll all go out to meet her when she comes.
Howdy.
And we'll have a great big party when she comes.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, we'll have a great big party when she comes.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, we'll have a great big party, and we'll have a great big party, and we'll have a great big party when she comes.
Yeehaw.
We'll be singing hallelujah when she comes.
Hallelujah.
We'll be singing hallelujah when she comes.
Hallelujah.
We'll be singing hallelujah. We'll be singing hallelujah. We'll be singing hallelujah when she comes.
Hallelujah.
She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes.
All aboard.
She'll be coming round the mountain when she
All
comes.
aboard.
She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes.
All aboard.
I thought love was only true in fairy tale, meant for someone else but not for me.
Is that?
Love was out to get me. That's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love. Ooh, I'm a believer. I could tried. I thought love was only true in fairy tales, meant for someone else but not for me. Love was out to get me, that's the way it seemed. Disappointment haunted all my dreams. Then I saw her face, now I'm a believer. Not a trace of doubt in my mind. I'm in love, ooh, I'm a believer. I couldn't leave her if I tried. And good morning, Salina City. How we doing? This is Mr. Cassidy, and welcome to our special session, number 2. I hope you guys enjoyed our week's instruction of music. You guys got to check out Mr. Griffin at least once this week, and went over there and met him on Google Meets, or you came over and talked to me. And speaking of which, let's move this camera over so that we can see Mr. Griffin. Hey there, Mr. Griffin.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a good week. Happy Friday to everybody. And we're going to be talking a little bit of instruments today, huh?
Yeah, instruments. We're going to go over some of the things that we have lying around the house, and maybe go over some of the sounds and stuff that we hear when we're listening to music, and I guess those different sounds that some of these instruments can make, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got to actually have my piano here today, too, so I'll show some different sounds you can get out of that if you have an electric keyboard.
Sounds pretty cool. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mr. Griffin, do you want me to show off the electric guitar, or do you want to start with some keyboard?
We got to go electric guitar first. I'm wearing my shirt for you today.
Ooh, AC/DC. I like it. All right. Well, Mr. Griffin, I know you know, but maybe not everybody does, that I've also been teaching over these weeks. We've been working on a couple different instruments, right? So I've been doing a guitar class too, right?
Right.
And in the guitar class, I taught some of this, but I don't think everybody saw it. So I think it'd be cool to go over it again here. We have a couple different types of guitar, right? Mr. Griffin, you know the 2 types of guitar.
Oh, yeah. You got your acoustic guitar and your electric guitar. Electric guitar into the amplifier, like you can see behind me here. Got my 2 Vox amplifiers.
It's a pretty sweet stack behind you there.
Yeah. Actually, this is this one right here. It says Vox, but it's really a Fender, but it looks cool for the shot. So
I also see your nice recorder in the background there too, Mr. Griffin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to keep up on your recorder. Speaking of which, you have a class for that too, don't you?
I do indeed. Yep. If you come on Mondays at 11, I'm doing recorder class. Yep. Tuesdays is guitar class. Well, you said acoustic, and this is not a guitar, but this is an acoustic ukulele. And you can see that it has, I'm plugged in, but they don't have to be plugged in. That's the beauty of an acoustic instrument, is that they have this large body, right? So this is the body of the instrument, and you have the neck of the instrument, and you have the head of the instrument. Because of the large body, you can hear it without it being plugged in. In fact, it's not plugged into anything now, and if I play it, should be able to hear it through the microphone. Yeah, Mr. Griffin?
Oh, yeah. Sounds good.
So that's the acoustic instrument, and then you said the other one was electric. Well, that would be this one right here, and the electric instrument, the electric guitar, goes through an amplifier like the ones you see behind Mr. Griffin. Yep. So what's cool about the electric guitar is that because it's electric, it has lots of different sounds to it, right? So we got a regular guitar sound, right? So I can change the sound, though, based on the different things that I have on my guitar. So I have these knobs and switches, right? So the knobs change, like, the volume. And then I have, like, a switch that changes which pickup is listening, or which microphone on this guitar is listening. So the top one sounds like that. The bottom one sounds like that. Very different. Now we sound like we're going to do some Old Town Road. A little bit of country, right?
Uh-oh.
So
Your favorite
yeah.
song right there.
Oh, I bet. There's
You've been
also
listening to it this whole time, huh?
on
I'm
the
assuming you've
on
been
the
listening to it every day.
who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you got to listen to your Old Town Road every day. Your daily dose, right?
It's like a vitamin, I think. And so we also, with electric guitar, have these things called pedals. And with pedals, we can change the sound too. So, for example, I can switch to a different mode here on my pedal. I'm just going to click it. And now, all of a sudden, I'm going to sound like I'm going to do some hard rock music. Maybe. Maybe I'm going to sound like I'm going to do some hard rock music. Ah, there we go.
Ooh, there you go. Oh, is that
That's what's on your shirt there, Mr. Griffin.
yeah, back in black.
Uh,
In black.
So those pedals really can change the sound. That's called distortion in guitar. And if you're in the 5th and 6th grade class, I know we talked about that. And that's that deep sound. But you can do all kinds of things with the electric guitar. For example, and with pedals. So for example, I can take a pedal. Ooh, let's turn that up a little bit. That better?
Yeah, that's better.
Cool. So I can take the pedal, for example. And this pedal is called a looper pedal. And now it's playing, and I got no hands. It's like I'm on a roller coaster, Mr. Griffin.
You just recorded it.
I did. I just recorded it, and now I can play some other things with it. Like this. Let's turn it up a little bit. There we go. So the looper pedal's pretty cool because you can play 2 parts of a song with just one guitar.
So you did the rhythm first, and then you layered or overdubbed, right? The solo over the top.
I did.
You
We
did
talked
that.
about that in the 5th and 6th grade class too, huh? A little bit of overdubbing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
overdubbing.
But you can do that with a pedal, which is pretty cool. You don't need a guitar or anything like that. So when you're on stage, and Mr. Griffin, you performed with a looper pedal before, right?
Yeah. You have to. It takes a little bit of practice with one of those, but once you get good at it, it's pretty fun. It's
Yeah.
also really good to practice with too, because then you don't always have to be in a band and have other people there. You can kind of loop something and then work on your soloing and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
One other thing I was going to mention too is, see that? That's what he was connecting to the guitar and the amplifier to. That's the cable. And that runs into the guitar, and then there's another side that runs into the amp behind me like that. So that's your connection cable. So that's what you have on an electric guitar, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And as you could see, even my acoustic instrument there was able to plug in, so you can plug it into not the same type of amplifier that you would for an electric guitar, but you can plug it into speakers to make it louder for, when we come to your school, right, Mr. Griffin, and we're in the cafeteria, we'll amplify our acoustic instruments.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How about you show us the piano now, Mr. Griffin?
Let me move it down here. You can see my keyboard. So my keyboard is more of an electric keyboard too. Okay, you have, of course, upright pianos or grand pianos, and you can do a lot more with one of these. You're not going to get as rich and as deep of a sound, of course, with your regular piano, but technology has made them a lot better now. You can actually, if you can hear this,
It's a little quiet. You could probably boost it a little bit.
a little bit more. Is this better?
That's a lot better.
So right now I'm playing a piano, just a regular, like kind of grand. It's kind of copying a grand piano sound. Playing some Elton John for you. If you were in Mr. Cassidy's, did you talk about that this week, Mr. Cassidy? A little bit of Elton John with the soft rock stuff, or no?
We did talk about soft rock. Yep.
Yeah, some Elton John. So that's an electric piano. or kind of trying to mimic an acoustic or a grand piano. Let me show you kind of a different sound on here. This is a clavinet, and this is actually something that we talked about this week. Also, Stevie Wonder would use as well. So it'd be like this. So you get the idea there. That's the that kind of funky sound of Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder had a lot of those kind of different sounds he would put in there, just like that. Like that. That's a clavinet. For that one, here's a Wurlitzer. A Wurlitzer is a so this piano I can just switch. I can click on this button. I get all these different kinds of sounds, which is pretty cool. So let me get that. That's a Wurlitzer. So this is actually another great piano player, Ray Charles. I'll do a little bit of that for you.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, so that's a Wurlitzer sound. Okay, there are all kinds of different sounds I can get on this piano. And one more I'll show you today too. Is this one might be a little bit louder, so let me dial it back just a little bit here. Where have you heard this one, Mr. Cassidy? What are we missing right now?
Ooh, I think that might be my favorite sport, Mr. Griffin. It's not football. It's not basketball. Nope, it's definitely baseball.
Okay, so yeah, that's your organ sound, and this is actually trying to copy what's called a B3 Hammond organ. So it's kind of mimicking that, and I can adjust things too. I can adjust the like you could do on your guitar with kind of moving some switches around. I can do that with the piano. I can make it kind of more of a straight sound like this, or I hit some buttons and I put a rotary speaker on it like that. Hear the difference there?
You can definitely hear the difference there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's almost making it kind of what they call vibratoing. It's moving that note around, kind of making it.
So, Mr. Griffin, you're talking about these different instruments that are there. So the keyboard, to be clear, is it's electronically it's mimicking those instruments, right? It's not actually one of those instruments. It's not actually a Wurlitzer.
No, because it's just it's digital, right? So if I had an actual B3 Hammond organ with me right now, those things weigh about 400 or 500 pounds. This keyboard, you can see, I can lift it up right here. It's only about 20, 30 pounds, maybe at the most, maybe less than that, probably like 10 pounds. So basically, if you want to get the true sound, the actual sound, you'd have to get, the actual instrument. If you had a real Wurlitzer, that's a bigger instrument, a B3 Hammond or a clavinet, if you wanted to get a real one. But these actually nowadays, we're lucky because the technology nowadays, it makes it sound pretty close. This is about as close as you can get. And these of course are expensive because of that. But when you're performing live and you turn this on, and I don't think too many people could tell the difference. Most
Sure.
likely.
Absolutely.
It's also nice because you can take it around. You don't have to have a forklift to get your instrument into the gig.
Hey, before we move on, Mr. Griffin, to I think you've got some like Latin instruments and stuff next, right?
Yeah. Let me see.
Before
Let
we
me
do
show
that,
you,
I just wanted to
go
let everybody
ahead.
know that we have the chat on today. So if you are on Google Live or on YouTube Live right now and watching us, if you have any questions about the instruments, anything from Mr. Griffin and I that have to do with what we're talking about today, any of these instruments or anything like that, please go ahead and shout it out. I'm watching the chat here. So yeah, go for it. Give us any questions that you got. There's a bit of a delay. I forgot to put on the on the low delay setting, so it's actually pretty delayed. So know that you asked that question, you're going to be behind maybe like a good 30 seconds probably, Mr. Griffin, or more. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead and ask any questions you have about these different instruments. Mr. Griffin, Latin instruments.
Yeah, let me share the screen with you, and let's see if that will work. I'm gonna see if I can share that with you now, so you can see some of these. All right, are you seeing my Latin instruments there?
Yep.
Or no?
There it is.
You can see them.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we talked about this. If you were in, if you came to my Google Meets this week, you would have seen these. Okay. So we're gonna check out now. Actually, the artist we talked about this week, we just talked about right now. We talked Stevie Wonder, and that's Stevie Wonder right there. He did the clavinet sound, but then we also talked about Carlos Santana, and he was kind of the Latin rocker. Before him, you had Richie Valens with La Bamba. A lot of the kids know about Richie Valens and La Bamba. But Carlos Santana, he took it to another level because started adding a lot more Latin instrumentation with rock and roll. And like Mr. Cassidy was talking about, see that electric guitar there? He was using a little bit of distortion on his guitars too, to kind of, and a little bit of what they call delays and distortion to make that guitar really ring out a lot more and sound a little bit crunchier. But he would do cleans and dirty sounds. But these are some of the instruments he would use. And actually, this is the instrument, the congas right here. Is what you want to hear some congas?
Yeah, let's hear them.
I don't have any in front of me, but I have some audio of some congas.
Oh, you're breaking the illusion here. I thought you were going to play it off like you had them in front of you.
All right. I'm gonna try to mimic them. Ready?
Perfect.
Nope, I'm not a very good conga player. You can hear the different textures of the instrument. All kinds of different rhythms you can do too. That's the cool part, because we've learned about rhythms all year, right?
Absolutely. You're talking like quarter notes and half notes and eighth notes.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea of the congas used really, really heavily in Carlos Santana's music, and a lot of Latin music, right? Cumbia and salsa, mariachi, even Tex-Mex, stuff like that. They're going to be using a lot of these different instruments you're hearing. How about the agogo? What is it? I was always asking the students this week, what do those look like to you? What do those even look like? And it kind of looks like it's like cone shaped, right? And they kind of look like a bell or something. A lot of students were saying.
Maybe a couple of cowbells.
Yeah, a lot of kids were saying this looks like a bell, kind of. So let me let you listen to that one.
From the if you can turn it up, Mr. Griffin, from the chat, it's looking like maybe it's a little quiet over the stream.
Okay, yeah, let me turn it up. Okay, you ready? Let's see.
I might be able to turn you up a little bit on my end too.
This is go. Do you hear it now better?
I think so.
And like I'm playing this too. So that's the agogo. That's this one here.
Can you try it one more time, Mr. Griffin? I think it was cutting in and out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Sorry about that. You can hear me okay, though,
yeah,
when I'm speaking to you?
Mm-hmm.
Let me try that again. Is that better?
You know what? I think it's too quiet, and it's the go-go sound is so quiet that it's not registering on the microphone.
Huh. So it's more like that bell sound, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Well, let's try the gyro then. Let's try a gyro. And actually, one more thing with that, because this is why you have the this is the smaller kind of cone here and the bigger cone, you can make a lot of different sound out of those two, because one of them's kind of, you can get a little higher register, and the other one you can get a little lower register. So it kind of mixes it up a little bit. How about the gyro? Let's try that. Now this one you hear in all kinds of different things. You can hear this in a lot of rock and roll music too. The rock and roll actually started putting a lot of the gyro in after Carlos Santana did, but you hear that a lot in what kind of music? Mariachi, right? Or cumbias, things like that. Let's see. Can you hear the gyro?
Yeah.
So basically they're going to kind of, it sounds a little bit like you have those ridges there, right? So it sounds a little bit scratchy even, something like that. But you're going to move that stick right over the ridges there, and that's going to give you the sound. But you can tell that person or whoever is handling the gyro, you got to have some rhythm, right? A lot of rhythm to these instruments. A lot of percussion. A lot of the kids actually this week were saying a lot of these sound like you're snapping your fingers or something like that, which is actually a nice connection, because that's kind of, close to percussive sounding. If you snap your fingers like this, you're getting that kind of percussive sound. Well, that's kind of what these instruments are doing.
Yeah.
Who's got a fever? Anybody got a fever?
You gonna play some cowbell there, Mr. Griffin?
You can see a little bit of cowbell on here, right? All right, on these timbales right here. So let you hear what those sound like. This is kind of like you have a snare drum and another drum that almost sounds like a tom. So they do get a little bit of different texture on these two instruments. And then, of course, if you have a fever, the only cure is more cowbell. Right? You ready? There's a cowbell right there at the top. Here we go. Let me see. This guy's pretty good. That's the timbales.
Yeah, we're hearing these a lot better.
Oh, good.
Although now it's going in and out. That was probably good, though. I think we got a good taste of it.
You got a good taste of that one?
Yeah, I think so.
That's good, because you can probably hear, I don't know if you heard the difference between the two. That one was more a little bit deeper sounding, a little bit crispy sounding. One of the drums, or the drum heads, I guess you could say, that it's more of a snare like, and the other one's more of a tom, which is going to give you that deep sound. And you probably heard he was putting the cowbell in there, and actually he had two cowbells. This one only has one on here, but he had a bigger cowbell and a smaller cowbell. One you can probably get a little bit higher pitch, and one you can get a little lower pitch. So a lot of cool stuff you can do with these instruments. And this week we talked about Carlos Santana, but actually let's go back real quick, because I have the slide here. Remember, Mr. Cassidy was talking about distortion. This is Led Zeppelin right here. You can see Led Zeppelin there. So that distortion that he was talking about, you can basically you're kind of making it so that the guitar is pushed so far that it kind of makes a clean sound into a dirty sound. All right, I can actually demonstrate that quickly on the keyboard if you want to hear it.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
I do have an overdrive on my keyboard, it's called, or it'll make it distorted. So let's hear I'll show you a straight, this is kind of a clean note on the keyboard here, real clean. It's a lower note, but then if I put do you hear that?
Yes, absolutely.
Hear that now? Okay, let me see now if I put the overdrive on it, it kind of is going to make it crunchier or grittier, kind of. Do you hear the difference?
Oh, yeah. You know, Mr. Griffin, how I was saying it was if you have like a pair of like laptop speakers or like a phone speaker that you're listening to music through, and you turn up the volume and it sounds okay, and then you want to hear it a little bit louder, and you keep turning it up, and it starts to get
Yeah.
crackly and crunchy. That's distortion.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's really what they're
Exactly.
doing too, right? I mean, like distortion is yes, the pedals. I was showing that the pedals make that, but it's ooh, I did something weird there. It's the pedals that can do that, but really what the pedals are doing is overdriving or making the speaker actually. It's like turning it up in volume until it starts to distort.
Right. And a lot of time, like you're saying, you have on like these speakers, for example, they'll have a little switch on there called a gain switch.
Mm-hmm.
And if you turn the gain switch all the way up, but you got to make sure your volume's down, otherwise you're gonna really be super loud. But if you if that's what you like, I guess. But yeah, they'll have a gain switch just like this does. This one's called an overdrive, same kind of thing. So I can get the difference between, this note. Let's see if it doesn't. Let's see if it does it on the high end notes. This is a higher end. And now let me do the overdrive. Yeah, you can't tell as much there, but you can definitely tell down there, right?
Oh, now we're starting to sound like
You
you're getting ready to score a movie.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
intro
yeah.
there.
So and it sounds a little different, obviously, because it's a keyboard. But with a guitar, you can really hear that sound. And a lot of these bands, these hard rock bands from the time and heavy metal bands, are going to use distortion, right? Because it's that sound that kind of goes along with it. Actually, the first distortion was heard in the 1950s. It was actually a mistake. Um, I believe it was Ike Turner's band in the 1950s. Somebody dropped their amplifier accidentally when they were coming out of the loading in to the studio and dropped the amplifier. It kind of messed it up. The guy plugged it in and started playing, and it got that nice distortion sound. So they used it on the record. So they kind of found it by accident.
As with most good things, always found by
Yeah.
accident.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Way back in the 50s. I don't think they started really using it until more of the 70s, right? Because heavy metal and hard rock started hitting around that time,
Yeah,
like
I mean,
bands
late
like
60s,
this,
you started to
Led
have
Zeppelin.
some groups, right? But yeah, not really. Didn't really become super
Yeah.
prominent until the 70s.
Yeah. Well, actually, you're right, because in the late 60s, you had the Kinks, the band that, and what he did was he was just experimenting with this amplifier. So he actually cut a little inside this amplifier right here behind me. There's a little cone inside of it
Oh, we
where the
can't see
speaker
you.
is.
We're looking at your screen, Mr. Griffin.
Oops, I'm sorry. Let me stop sharing. Sorry about that. Right behind me, you can see the speaker. So inside of this, there's a cone inside there, sometimes two cones. If you cut, and he actually, I wouldn't recommend doing this anymore because they already have gains on this, but they got to be careful about what I say here. Don't
Yeah,
cut your
sure.
speakers up. But back then they didn't have the gain switch, so he actually was experimenting, just cutting some, and actually the air coming through, the speaker kind of gave it that distorted effect. So
Yeah.
that's another example of where it all started, kind of. So pretty interesting where it all comes from.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Griffin, I think we showed off quite a bit of stuff today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Looked
Yeah,
at
definitely.
acoustic guitar or acoustic instruments. Looked at electric instruments. Looked at a little bit of keyboard and some Latin instruments. I think that's quite a bit for today.
Saw some of the artists that we've been studying, and yeah.
Yeah. I
So
think
we're keeping up on that.
Mr. Griffin, next week we're going to have a special guest on. We'll announce that maybe
Yes.
Monday. We'll put that up there, who it's going to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
All right.
So that way we can
could-
have a special guest from one of our teachers. Will be pretty cool. So,
Ooh.
yeah,
All right.
one of the teachers from the district.
Well, that's going to be fun.
Yep.
It's going to be fun.
I think so too.
So that's going to be next Friday, right?
Yes,
Next
Friday,
Friday at the
10
same
o'clock.
time, 10
Same
o'clock.
time, same bat channel. And
Okay.
remember, you can always see
Yeah.
Mr. Griffin at 10 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and you can see me on live stream at 10 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on YouTube. So you're on Meet, I'm on YouTube, and at 11 o'clock on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we have our instrument lessons. So if you're interested in learning guitar, recorder, ukulele, come by to one of those.
Yeah, and don't forget, keep on getting on Google Classroom if you can. I know there's been some people asking, but you got to make sure you have your student email to get on there. Okay, there's a lot of questions, and you can also do the piano program too, so you can learn how to read music. That'd be great if you're keeping up on that too.
Yeah.
Keep on reading the music. Make sure you watch those YouTube videos. We're putting them up every week, 2 or 3 a week between the two of us at least.
Yep.
So
Yeah, quite a
make
bit
sure
of
you
content.
stay on top of the. Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed the week, and we will see you on Monday. Mr. Griffin, hope you have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
All
Everybody
right.
have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.
See you, everybody.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I got the horses